Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. This afternoon, think tank Imani says a forensic risk assessment of Ghana's gold for oil program has revealed staggering fiscal leakages, systemic fraud and governance failures, sparking fierce calls from Imani Africa and a coalition of oversight institutions for urgent prosecution and recovery of stolen revenues. According to Imani, the multinational review, drawing data from the National Petroleum Authority, Boston Customs, exposed a pattern of opacity, preferential access, and structural loopholes that enabled massive revenue losses. On the gold side of the program, investigators found there were no contracts between the Bank of Ghana and the Precious Minerals Marketing Company, a lapse that allowed weak pricing controls and discretionary exchange rate practices and mandatory delivery quotas that encourage smuggling. Well, joining me in the studio is a key member of our research desk, Caleb Zublim, just joined us to break down the key findings. Caleb, what exactly are their concerns based on this report?
Okay, so according to Imani, they got data from the NPA, costs, and then some of the fiscal authorities. And they found that some of the fiscal slippages that happened in the Gold for Oil program were somewhat intentional. So according to the findings from Imani, the system was designed in a way that it would be very difficult for the authorities to trace back where some payments were made and then where some money went to. And this was intentional. It was not an oversight or some breaches. It was intentional for people to try and maneuver the system and take advantage of it. And just for recap, the Gold for Oil program came in 2023, where because of the depreciating cedi and the high prices of crude on the market because of the Ukraine war, the Ukraine-Russia war, prices of petroleum products in Ghana were very high. So the government at the time came in with a Gold for Oil program where they get gold from small-scale miners through PMMC, which is now Gold Board. They buy the gold from small-scale miners. They give it to the BOG. The BOG then goes to the market and either swaps it directly for oil or sells it and then uses the forex to buy oil and bring it to Ghana. So now, according to Imani, the first thing they found was there was no agreement between the BOG who gets the gold from PMMC. So BOG and PMMC, there was no formal contract. And prior to this, the Auditor General actually flagged this some few years ago that there was no proper contract between BOG and PMMC. So they should do, the BOG should take steps to come and implement a contract, and the BOG said they would do that. But according to Imani's findings, there was still no contract. And because there was no contract, there's no accountability, and it's very hard to trace where some payments went to. Additionally, he also said that some companies that use, because when BOG gets the gold, they give the gold to a gold broker outside the country, and that person goes to look for the oil for us. Now, according to the findings from Imani, the gold brokers, some of them, their identities are not known, and sometimes the companies used to trade the oil and gold, and they have questionable ownership, some leading to some countries in the Cayman Islands and all of that. So that's the major problem identified by Imani. Also, according to Imani, the fuel that was brought into the country had 7.5 billion in tax exemptions, but according to their analysis, 7.2 billion has been lost to the state because of some poor reconciliation. And also, there were, because Boss was the only player allowed to bring in the oil and sell it, that undue influence Boss had was an avenue for, some slippages to occur. If you can go to the next slide. So, according to Imani, these are the, and also lack of opacity, which I mentioned earlier, because some of the traders, they use the companies, the owners of these companies, some were shell companies. So it's very difficult to trace back who was actually getting the fuel for us, who paid, who some payments were made to, who owns these companies and all of that. So Imani is asking for Imani is asking for a forensic audit into the entire Gold for Oil program. And we know the BOG has said they lost 2 billion Ghana cedis for the overall cost of the Gold for Oil program from 2023 and 2024. They lost about 2 billion Ghana cedis. But according to Imani, according to the BOG, this was just forex losses. But Imani said there's more to it and then more investigation needs to be done. And also they say there was a breach of fiduciary duties where we entrusted officials to implement a policy that's supposed to support the country, but then they intentionally made the entire process opaque so that they can benefit from it.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Khalif, for that update. Well, join me now on Zoom as we explore this further here on The Pulse. As Senior Research Associate at Imani Africa, I'm Profi Ajiman. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. We're just going through the key findings here, and it's quite interesting, some of the key things that you raise in this statement you have put out. Let's take it step by step. First of all, the part where we are getting to find out that there was no official contract between BOG and its allies. Walk us through the procedure and why you think this is indeed flawed.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam, and hello to your listeners. Good afternoon. That was a brilliant opening by your colleague. I think he sums up key points that we raised in our report. Now, let me just walk you through what we found, because I mean, when you paint a holistic picture, it will be easy for your viewership and listeners to understand. Now, when you look at what happened, Imani basically categorizes our findings into the governance issues that we found, okay? And I'll tackle that. And then also that the high risk corporate actors, which this program sort of enabled, which put the country at risk. And then most importantly, we look at the revenue leakage that occurred, just because we feel that BOS had a huge role to play in the unfolding of these events. Now, back to your question, when you lack that foundational contract over this very important program that the government sought to pursue, then it really begs the question what the intent of this was in the first place. Now, what this contributed to a number of things, and I'll walk you through them. Now, the lack of governance made it possible that there were weak pricing controls. You know, the London Bullion Market Association, which sets the gold price every day, right? They are the go-to standard for what gold pricing is. And in this instance, there was inconsistent application of the LBMA pricing and the lack of independent assay. Assay is somebody who's an accredited independent body, a neutral party who verifies the weight of the gold sample that you have. All these were missing in the gold program, in the G4O program, which really is at the core of everything that we've learned over the past couple of months. Now, not only were there weak pricing controls, but also, as referred to by your colleague, there were discretionary forex practices. Now, the Bank of Ghana applied discretionary exchange rates, okay? And this created opportunities for arbitrage and hidden value transfer. And arbitrage is when someone buys something in one market at a low price and quickly sells it in another market at a very high price to make a risk-free profit from the price difference. So under the gold G4O program, the Bank of Ghana was effectively both a buyer of gold in cedis and a payer for fuel imports, okay? Because there's no single official exchange rate at which gold is converted into dollars for oil, the BOG can choose a discretionary exchange rate. For example, valuing the CD differently from the prevailing interbank forex bureau rate at any day, okay? So this gave the central bank flexibility to manage its books. But also, it also opened up the door to arbitrage, like I mentioned. Traders or intermediaries can then exploit the gap between BOG's rate and the real market rate by buying gold or fuel at one rate and selling at another. Over time, these gaps can result in hidden value transfers, where some actors capture extra profit at the state's expense. And that's what we saw in our findings.
And it's quite interesting. Another key thing I see in your findings is that you're concerned that the whole process enabled revenue leakages, which is heard from the former MD for BOST. On our midday bulletin on Joy 99.7 FM, defend the gold for oil deal, telling us that it actually inured to the benefit of government, enabling government to rake in revenue. That's according to their internal audit. But here you are telling us that there was lawful exemptions at import stages, but there was no downstream tracking, and this actually affected the revenue of Boss. Tell us more about this finding.
This happens when fuel imported under the program is legally given tax or duty exemptions at the port, and to make it cheaper. But there's no proper system to follow up once the fuel moves into the market.
Okay.
These exemptions are supposed, let me finish. These exemptions are supposed to be temporary or conditional. Okay. For example, the tax is.
Okay. I seem to be losing you, but I'll come back to you as we reconnect the lines. Something is happening right now. The Communications Minister, Sam Nartey-George, is addressing the press today regarding the standoff between MultiChoice Ghana and operators of DSTV. I'll come back to you for that conversation, but let me take you there live right now, and we'll listen to Sam George.
It's quite a Fulufelo Badugela, who is the CEO of MultiChoice Africa, or the rest of Africa, as it is called. We're here to have a very short engagement. On the 7th of September 2025, I provided an update to the country on the engagement with MultiChoice on the pricing of the DSTV service in Ghana. This culminated in the establishment of a stakeholder committee comprising representatives of the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, the National Communications Authority, MultiChoice Africa, and MultiChoice Ghana. The committee, chaired by myself, had two clear objectives. One, to achieve a shared understanding of DSTV pricing in Ghana and to agree on a structured, mutually acceptable, and commercially viable measure to address concerns around the pricing of the DSTV service in Ghana. Two, to establish an acceptable roadmap to curb cross-border piracy of DSTV decoders and services from Nigeria to Ghana. Today, I'm joined by members of the stakeholder committee, including the CEO Pay TV Rest of Africa and the MD of MultiChoice Ghana, as well as the Director General of the NTA, to report the outcome of the committee's work. I must commend the committee and for the commitment of all members to achieving the outcomes within the rigid time period during which MultiChoice Africa was going through a shareholder transition. I acknowledge the mutual respect and candor throughout the committee's deliberation. Now we will start with the outcome of the committee's deliberation, first on cross-border piracy. The committee considered the issue of cross-border piracy of DSTV decoders from Nigeria into Ghana, which has for years deprived the state of tax revenue. It's transferred jobs from Ghana to Nigeria, denied unsuspecting customers of good customer service, and is actively working towards the decline of the Ghanaian local content creation space. To address this, the committee has recommended the establishment of a working group with representation from the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, the National Communications Authority, the Cybersecurity Authority, the Ghana Domain Name Registry, the National IT Agency, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Police Service, MultiChoice Africa, and MultiChoice Ghana. I will work with the heads of the above agencies to establish the working group in due course to comprehensively tackle this issue of cross-border piracy. Now to the outcome of the committee's deliberation on the evaluation of DSTV's pricing. The committee deliberated on the pricing of the DSTV service, considered various factors, including the cost factors, the macroeconomic environment of Ghana, subscription volume trends, among others, and discussed and provided input on several options considered by MultiChoice Africa and arrived at an outcome that will deliver better value to all subscribers in Ghana. MultiChoice Africa has committed to implement an unprecedented increased value offer only in Ghana, and I repeat, only in Ghana, which will result in Ghanaian DSTV subscribers getting more services for less. Depending on the DSTV package or bouquet you use, subscribers will get between 33% to 50% more value. The new arrangement, effective from 1st October 2025, are as follows. For those who are on the Paddy Bouquet subscription, you currently pay 59 Ghana cedis. When you pay 59 Ghana cedis, you get upgraded automatically to Access, which is valued at 99 Ghana cedis, and you get 35 more channels. This represents a 40% savings if you were to pay for the Access yourself. Second bouquet, Access, currently going at 99 Ghana cedi. If you retain your Access bouquet at 99 Ghana cedi, MultiChoice will bump you up to the family bouquet, which is currently priced at 190 Ghana cedis. You get 19 more channels, which means that if you were to stay on Access and get bumped up, for the value you get, you make a savings of 48%. If you're on the family package, which is currently valued at 190 Ghana cedis, DSTV will automatically bump you up to Compact, which ordinarily goes for 380 Ghana cedis. You get 22 more channels and actually get access to live football matches. So anybody on the family package, which previously didn't get live football matches, would automatically get live football matches. The value savings on this, 50%. Compact, currently going at 380 Ghana cedis, gets bumped up automatically to Compact Plus, which is priced at 570 Ghana cedis. You get 12 more channels in addition, and the value savings, 33%. Compact Plus, valued at 570 Ghana cedis. You pay that, you're automatically bumped up to Premium, which goes at the price of 865 cedis. You get 18 more channels and a value of 34%. For those who remain on their Premium bouquet, which is priced at 865 Ghana cedis, you will still get all the content on the Premium flagship, the flagship Premium bouquet, but you also get an automatic entry into the competition for the chance to win a fully paid trip to watch selected English Premiership games. But this is, as well as you know, subject to terms and conditions. There is no restriction on a subscriber's choice of a bouquet. The offer is available to both existing and new customers from 1st of October 2025. Effectively, MultiChoice has offered value over and above what we expected of them. I went into this with a request for 30%. With what we have discussed here, the lowest is 33%, the highest is 50%. And I extend my warmest gratitude to the MultiChoice team for that. I want to commend them for their goodwill towards subscribers in Ghana, and the committee is of the view that this increased value offer addresses government concerns, it reduces pressure on Ghanaian households, while ensuring the sustainability of the DSTV service in Ghana. In addition, MultiChoice Africa will provide a 555 Ghana cedi subsidy for the Zappa decoder and dish kit. New customers will therefore be able to get the Zappa and dish kit at 50% of its current price. So yet another 50% discount for subscribers. The committee will reconvene in 3 months to evaluate the impact of this initiative. This will be an ongoing and periodic exercise. Fellow Ghanaians, I know that sounds familiar, right? The message today is simple. The government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is on your side. And MultiChoice is a responsible business operating in Ghana. I thank the Ghanaian public for their support and patience on this matter. Thank you very much. I'll open up and take questions. Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Sammy.
Can we please have some silence in the room so we can hear the questions? Thank you.
The issue of transition, I know that DSTV collects CST on behalf of the GRA. It makes my mind why an institution like DSTV is collecting CST. Because I thought they are a media company. I don't know any media organization that collects CST on behalf of the GRA.
That's fine.
Is there something?
That's fine. Next question. Yes, sir.
Sir, thank you very much. The last time we spoke about DSTV and the rate, the fact that they were going to reduce the rate, and you have seen another communication from them, hence to this press conference. Once you have introduced the fact that they are part of the press conference, may we hear from them that they agree with the statement that they actually are coming over here, DSTV and the last time they were not here.
All right, next question. Any other question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm from 1997, Richmond. So the last time we had a meeting with us. You mentioned that you were going to have a meeting with DSTV, so they will reduce the key prices. And afterwards, when Canal Plus comes in, we're also going to engage for further reaction. We want to know if that has been done.
Okay. Any other question? Yes, a lady's hands.
I wanted you to address the issue on the cross-border piracy, and we saw some concerns on social media that those who had subscribed to the Nigerian decoders, some of them have already been blocked. Is it something you are aware of? And if so, is it part of what you are planning to do in terms of the piracy?
Okay. Any other question? All right, I'll take this. Sami Dawuna, why is DSTV collecting CST? That's a question for the GRA. The GRA is the one who collects CST. So I'll share the GRA Commissioner General's number with you. Ejona asked, does DSTV agree with the statement? The last time I spoke, there was no DSTV in the room. You have the MD who's flown in with her team. You have the chairman here. But maybe out of the abundance of caution, Fulu, do you agree with everything we've said? It's yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I hope you've heard. So you will treat any statement that comes out with the contempt that it deserves, because the CEO says that this statement suffices for them. Good. Richmond, further reduction from Canal Plus. As you're aware, Canal Plus carried out some shareholder transition of MultiChoice last week, Monday. I believe that Canal Plus is going to settle in and bring out what their roadmap for the Africa business is. When we get there, we will engage them. If there's opportunities there for better value, we definitely will engage them. But we're grateful for what we have achieved today. We set out to engage with MultiChoice to achieve some kind of reprieve for the Ghanaian subscribers. They have given over and beyond what we requested, and we're grateful for that. As Canal Plus settles in, whatever is on the table, we'll engage them on. Last question from Juliet Brown, cross-border piracy and blocking of boxes. If you're a Ghanaian and you love this country, you would want to see this country progress. And I just had a meeting prior to this with bloggers, and I said to them that we must never be afraid or run away from paying taxes as responsible citizens. Our concern must be what our government uses our taxes to do. And that's why we have the opportunity every 4 years to change the government if we think they're not managing our taxes very well. If you're a Ghanaian and you use what I call ghost boxes, the boxes from Nigeria, you do two things. You deprive the Ghanaian shareholders and owners of MultiChoice Ghana from revenue, because you're paying to the Nigerian owners of MultiChoice Nigeria. But more importantly, you deprive your own homeland of tax revenue. Because in what you pay to the Nigerian, for the Nigerian subscription, is tax to the Nigerian government. You don't expect the Nigerian government to come and fix your road, or connect water or electricity to your household. You don't expect the Nigerian government to come and give you health care. You expect the John Mahama government to do that for you. You cannot work in Coca-Cola and at the end of the month go to Pepsi for your salary. You can't expect your Ghanaian government to fix and use tax revenue for social infrastructure, meanwhile you're paying taxes to a foreign government. And if you look at the statistics that is available over the period, for every one legitimate DSTV box in Ghana, we have so far deactivated 5 from Nigeria. That should give you concern as a citizen. If this doesn't worry you, then your citizenship should be revoked. Because any true Ghanaian will ask yourself, what kind of damage we are doing to our own country? And so yes, the stakeholder committee we've set up is actually going to work with MultiChoice to step up enforcement. We will come after every ghost box, we will deactivate them, and we will block them. Because now with the new pricing, you really have no excuse. Buy a Ghanaian box or reconnect your Ghanaian box. In fact, with this one, I expect that everybody who had a Ghanaian box that they had put somewhere, dust it off, call them from 1st of October. 1st of October is on Wednesday. So from Wednesday, call. I just hope MultiChoice will have enough call center operatives, because I expect to see a bump in people calling to reconnect their Ghanaian boxes. Be Ghanaian, watch Ghanaian, and you see the most important part is that DSTV has a mandate, MultiChoice has a mandate to invest in local content production. Now that mandate is fulfilled from revenue they make in the country. So we are complaining that our Ghanaian movie industry or local content production is in decline. Our neighbors in Nigeria are seeing a growth. It's simply because for every one Ghanaian contribution to the Ghanaian film local content industry, 5 Ghanaians are contributing to the Nigerian industry. We want to fix our own country. It won't be fixed by Nigerians, Kenyans, or South Africans. It will be fixed by us as Ghanaians. This government is a reset government. So let's reset our Nigerian decoder boxes and reconnect the Ghanaian decoder boxes. Okay, I'll take the next round. Juliet, you've asked a question already. Let me take people who've not asked questions. Yes?
Minister, my name is Abdul Khan. I work with the EIB network. Minister, some people are concerned that DSTV is a business just like any other business running in the country. And they have every right to increase price as and when they want. I just want to find out from you whether the committee that was set up to come up with a roadmap regarding this pricing, does it include any timelines as to when DSTV or MultiChoice Ghana can adjust or increase their prices? Because the concern is that you announced 1st of October, and by say 15th November, DSTV or MultiChoice is giving you a message to say that they will increase prices again.
Point well made. Next question. Yes, sir. What's the name?
I'm Emmanuel from CT Channel 1 TV. So mine has to do with the factors that led to this savings we are having. One on the macroeconomic and the appreciation of the city. Now we are enjoying a good, stable environment. So in the next 3 months, should the factors reverse? Citing an example from last year where multi-TV, DSTV increased prices 2 times. So if we continue to enjoy the stable outlook, are we going to enjoy a double in the next 3 months when the committee reconvenes?
Well noted. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Sam from GHA Media. First of all, let me commend you on the successes so far. Honorable, DSTV subscription and decoder is seen by many as a luxury afforded to the middle class and the upper class. What do you say to critics who are saying that you are just fighting for the selected few who are able to afford DSTV and not the majority of Ghanaians who fall below that bracket?
Okay. Any other question? Because this is the last batch of questions. I'm not taking any after this. We're done, right? Okay, great. Abdul.
Yeah.
DSTV is a private business. So, their prices, are there any timelines? Yes, DSTV is a private business. But all businesses operate in a certain economic environment. And that's why they engage governments from time to time. When they need intervention from government, and DSTV has need of policy need from government. They've brought their needs and requests to government, and government will consider the steps we need to take to protect their investment. In the same vein, government would also be able to go to them and say, this is the need of our citizens. And that's where we've got into. You you have a conversation, and you reach an agreement, and that's where we've got into. So, yes, they are private business, but the same people who are saying that DSTV is a private business, the minister should not be talking to them, are the same people telling me that even though we've reduced data prices, they still want further reduction. Why? Are the telecom companies also not private businesses? Why do people want to set different standards? You want the minister to deal with MTN and Telecel and Airtel? But you say, and that comes to your question, you say it's a luxury. Well, someone will also assume that you using data is a luxury. You could as well pick a bus and go and talk to the person you want to talk to. You don't need to make a phone call. Using your phone is a luxury that has become a necessity for us. But it will be unfair to the young man who takes care of his family because he runs a DSTV viewing center. And people pay to watch Premier League games. And it is from those sales he feeds his family. The installers who install. You cannot tell me that those people are not Ghanaian enough. This ministry is a ministry for the rich and the not rich. This ministry is a ministry for every Ghanaian. And so whether it is one person, 100,000 or 1 million, so long as it's a policy issue that affects a Ghanaian, this ministry will give it the same level of importance. And so it's not a luxury issue. They are private business, yes, but there are relationships that need to be managed with everything. And like I stated in my earlier submission, we have a 3-month rolling review mechanism of pricing. And that goes to deal with Emma's question. Emma, you share a name with my kid brother, but my kid brother is more optimistic than you are. You seem to have a very pessimistic outlook. I would rather hold a positive outlook looking at the kind of management of the economy that we have today. I mean, and I can understand the pessimism. I mean, if you're coming from where we've come from as a country, with the kind of management we had just a year ago, you want to caution or tread cautiously. But trust me, Atu is forcing. So, yeah, Baz, you know, our finance minister is on his bit. He knows his job, and he will deliver a stable currency and a stable economy. Because you see, what a stable currency does is not to make Sam George go and ask for reductions. It allows companies like MultiChoice to forecast and plan and bring in more investment into your country. So the need for stability of the economy goes beyond pricing. it goes to even expansion of their operations in country, because they know they have a stable economy, they can forecast what investment can come in, and they are sure that they would get the returns on it. So the president's vision with a stable economy, trust me, will remain same. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Spread the news, share the word, and make sure that everybody goes to reconnect their DSTV decoder. What meeting? Oh, no, definitely. So I thank you, but I still have one last meeting to have with MultiChoice, so we'll catch you later.
Well, the communications minister there letting us know they still have one more meeting with MultiChoice Ghana. I hope that this new intervention remains same. Well, if you just tuned in, good news is that MultiChoice Ghana and the government of Ghana have come to an agreement. Now you're getting value for money, an increment in value of 33 to 50%, and Sir George has just been walking us through the new terms of engagement. But it's a good time to bring in now the West African Regional Director for CATS International, Apia Kusiadumaku. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. We're just hearing from Sir George walk us through the new modalities on how DSTV will be operating. We're seeing value for money now. Your thoughts?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Good afternoon.
I think that the minister's address provides some level of hope and encouragement for Ghanaian consumers who subscribe to MultiChoice. And I think that if all the assurances are met going forward, I'm sure that his subscribership would be able to increase, and people will gladly throw away Nigerian boxes and buy Ghanaian boxes.
And that's a big concern he raises today, that to every one legitimate box we have in the system, there are 5 other boxes that we've gotten from other countries. And the concern really is about how that is infiltrating the system. And government is already telling us that they'll be moving in to impound some of these boxes. But how realistic is that really?
I think it's how realistic it is. I think that we should leave it to the security agents and the ICS to weigh in on that matter. If we are able to get subscribers to the Ghanaian box, as I've been saying, it means that we are going to, MultiChoice is going to get more subscribers.
You may have to speak a bit louder for me, Doc, so that I can hear you. I can't seem to hear you clearly.
Okay. Is it better now?
Much better.
So what I'm saying is that if MultiChoice, if all these things happen, what it means is that people will not have any incentive to use the stolen boxes from Nigeria, but rather they will use boxes from Ghana, and then government of Ghana will also get taxes from it. And as the minister said, government will be able to get those taxes to be able to build better roads and better bridges for Ghanaians to enjoy here.
But to a large extent, it has to do with the willingness of the consumer, really. If I'm getting value for money in Ghana, but still the boxes from Nigeria and other countries are cheaper, I'm most likely to look elsewhere. You don't think so?
And I think we cannot compare Ghanaian boxes with Nigerian boxes.
Okay.
You know, Nigeria is a big market. And also, the taxes that we pay in Ghana is also higher than the taxes they pay in Nigeria. And so, even if the MultiChoice charges were equal, trade tax charges were the same for Ghana and Nigeria, VAT, COVID-19 levy, communication service taxes would rather make how much we pay in Ghana to be significantly higher than what is paid in Nigeria. And so, of course, we also know that taxes is the subscriptions that we pay to live in a civilized society. So as we pay taxes, we expect that the taxes that we pay on our MultiChoice subscription is used to also construct roads and lighten our cities and communities for us.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your time here on the JoyNews channel. But let me take you back to my earlier conversation. I was engaged in the Senior Research Associate of Imani Africa. I'm Prof. Yajiman. We appreciate your patience throughout the cut in transmission and us taking you to that news conference that Sam George was having. But then if you just tune in, we're just going through some of the key findings. Imani Africa raising concerns about Ghana's gold for oil deal. It was once touted as the savior of the economy, but that is far from what we're seeing based on this report. And I'm just coming back to you, Mr. Ajiman, as we just look at some of the key findings in this report. You were just touching on the point of how you uncovered revenue leakages when it comes to the petroleum sector. Tell me more about that.
The point we're discussing, I wanted to touch on the exemptions bit.
Okay.
I don't know if I could.
You can quickly.
Yeah, sure. Right, because that's where we got to.
Okay.
So we found that there were unchecked exemptions, and this happens when fuel imported under the Gold for Oil program is legally given tax or duty exemptions at the port to make it cheaper, but there's no proper system to follow up. Once the fuel moves into the market. Those exemptions are supposed to be temporary. But what we found was that there was no downstream tracking of those deferred taxes. And so they never got collected. In effect, what should have been a postponed tax payment quietly became a permanent loss of revenue to the state. Okay, so that coupled with leakages also made the whole program run aground, and we were not very surprised that the current government had to curtail the program. You touched on revenue leakages, and I wanted to make a point in connection with BOST and the role that BOST played. Now, BOST's control over the G4O cargoes amplified serious systemic risk and created opportunities for diversion outside the official tax net. So BOST was put in charge of almost all the gold for oil cargoes, meaning it handled buying, shipping, storing, allocating the fuel. Because just one organization like BOST had such a dominant role, but weak independent oversight, it became easier for fuel to be moved, relabeled, or sold off outside the normal tax and customs channels. So the concentration of control within the ambit of BOST amplified the risk of mistakes and manipulation. If records were poor or monitoring was weak, large volumes of fuel could be diverted and underreported before tax were applied, costing the state revenue and making it harder for us to see where the losses were occurring. So these are some of the structural findings that we found during.
I can see a lot of due diligence concerns you raise in your report still, where you cite that all international suppliers selected for the program were found to have serious due diligence concerns. What are these concerns really?
So, all international suppliers for this program were either found to have some red flags in terms of their connection to sanction-sensitive trading areas in the globe and money laundering networks as well. So ideally, the program failed to actually vet all the international partners that it had engaged with. And indeed, in some of the findings, you find that there were local representatives who we believe, and of course, the investigation to be carried out, hopefully by the OSP, and we've also detailed some of the findings to the GRA and the entire government system. We'll find that there were people who were fronting for these international partners, and due diligence in terms of their ownership of those companies were not really given when they were engaged. So these are some of the things we found.
And then another serious recommendation you're making in your report is that you're pushing for forensic audits, a comprehensive forensic audit. What other key recommendations are you making?
So beyond the comprehensive forensic audit, because we believe that we've carried our investigations, we are very sure of the findings that we have, but of course it has to go through the mill of the law. So we've supplied all the details to the appropriate authorities. Beyond that, we are hoping that the government can initiate some kind of a clawback mechanism or class prosecutions. So under the Ghanaian law, a retroactive tax assessment is when the GRA, for instance, or the Commissioner General issues a tax assessment that is demanding for tax owed for a past period, not just the current or future periods as we are used to normally. But this will happen when the GRA is aware of the fact that there have been certain misrepresentations. Maybe the legislation has changed, or there's some discovery of purposefully hiding the quantum of tax that one is supposed to pay from the GRA. And so the GRA is backed by Act 915 and also Act 1029 to actually do that retroactive tax assessment on all these companies that we are talking about.
Okay, and finally, just before I let you go, within just 30 seconds, you could tell me, have you officially petitioned the OSP and Siraj, key institutions, to look into your findings? That way you can see results.
There have been informal communication to the OSP and the GRA. They are aware of these findings. As to whether we are officially going to petition, we are still engaging with our partners, and we believe that will be carried out very soon.
Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. You're still watching The Pulse. After this quick turn, we have more in store for you. Please stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, to other stories now, the Ghana Water Company Limited has announced plans to strengthen partnership with security agencies and the judiciary to set up efforts and step up efforts, I beg your pardon, to clamp down on illegal water connection. Now, this comes on the back of growing concerns, which I'm sure you have, over the wastage in the water distribution system, resulting in heavy losses to the Ghana Water Company. We'll hear from the Ghana Water Company shortly, but first, let's listen to the Acting Managing Director, Adam Mutawakilo, cite meter bypassing as well as customer non-payment of bills, among others, as factors contributing to the company's losses. James Aveji has more from that engagement.
The utility service providers, especially the Ghana Water Company, has been losses, both technical and commercial. And that is the reason why the GWCL and the World Bank have put together stakeholders here in Accra in order to deliberate over the challenge and find some lasting solutions. The acting managing director of the Ghana Water Limited, Adam Mutawakilo, has revealed that as of December 2024, the company was doing about 52% losses in revenue.
Our non-revenue water was about 52% as at December 2024. So after a few months in office, I began to understand how the system operates. And from July, I started implementing my policies. December 2024, it was 52%. Yes.
That's non-revenue water.
Non-revenue water.
Specifically on commercial losses.
Commercial losses, because of the way it is quite difficult for us to distinguish technical and commercial. But I can estimate that 80% of the water that we lose comes from commercial, not technical.
In order to tackle the challenge, the MD has put together a revenue assurance team to hit the ground to look at what exactly the challenge has been. These are some of the findings they've been coming out with after a month-long work on the grounds.
Some people, there's an installed meter, but they have an alternative line to their premises, said that they will use water in their premises, but that volume of water will not pass through the meter. other customers, other people, not even customers, they have illegally connected water to their premises and using it. They are not on our records, so then we do not have any way of billing them at all. Others can even go to the extent of damaging the meter that has been installed there, so that the meter cannot record the volume of water they use.
There's no criminal acts they should be arrested and prosecuted, especially those doing the illegal connection.
Yes, you are right. You are right to say it's an act of illegality and that can be arrested. But just as I told you, this is the way management wants us to go for now, to invite such people to come. For some, it's out of ignorance. Some also know very well that it's wrong, but they are still doing it. So this is the way we have started. Maybe going forward, we may take some of them on.
How many of these people are on your list now? The list you said you've...
For now, within this 1 month and 2 weeks, we have 109 customers that have already reported at the office, and we have charged them various sums of money.
How much have you estimated losing to some of these things?
What we are losing is huge. We have already gotten 4.4 million billion out of that.
4.4
million Ghana cedis.
Giving you 4.4 million?
Yes.
In 1 month?
Yes. 109.
The MD said the changes in the last few weeks has resulted in some revenue gains as well as a decrease in the percentage of losses as recorded in August 2025.
In August, we've seen an improvement in revenue by 20%. And August non-revenue water dropped to 50. We expect that September we should see a further drop.
Now, one of the key stakeholders in all of this conversation is the customer, and an association is represented here as part of the conversation. That is the Water Users Association, and a member is with me here. Madam Justin is here. You are a member of WUA. From which of the locations?
Ajekojo electoral area.
Ajekojo electoral area.
Yeah, Tema West Sun City.
Okay, Tema West Sun City. You have heard the issues we've talked about so far. You are a member of the association. From the customer perspective, how do you think, what are the cause of the problems, and how do you think the Ghana Water Limited can address them?
The problem is that paying of the bill, formally they give us on the paper. Okay. Then we remember to go and pay. But now they are putting it on the phone. And it is not everybody that have those digital phone. So paying of the bill will be difficult for them. So in my opinion, if it will be better, they should rather maintain the paper so that the moment they bring you the paper, you know that you are going to pay your bill. It will alert you. But putting on the phone will not solve the problem. Number two, the area that people are living, they have to get a water meter so that they'll be able to be paying their bill fast. But now...
I'll come to the meter, but what is the difference between getting it on the phone and getting a bill printed on paper? Why are you finding it difficult to pay when it is sent to you?
The reason why I'm finding it difficult for my people is that it is not everybody who have a phone. But the moment they save now with the receipt, they will remember that they have to go and pay the bill.
Why, you forget?
Yeah, at times they forget. And it is not me alone. Me, at times I put into on the people's shoe that if they not give them the paper, they will not remember to go and pay the bill. Because it's not everybody who have a phone. Some people, they don't have phone. And there's some, they don't even want to hold the phone safe. So such person, the bill will come on their phone, they will leave it down. So how can the waterways make their money? And before they will send, the person will remember that they have to pay their bill, then the money will be piled, and then they can't pay.
Okay. Let's talk about another problem, which is the illegal connection. why are you customers not getting the meters in order to consume the water and pay to the water company? Why are you doing illegal connections?
Yeah, the illegal connection that people are doing, to me, I know that because of the meter that people pass illegal way to sell for them, at times it come on the government project.
Well, thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Now, fake gazettes are flooding Ghana's space, a problem blamed on weak regulation in the publishing sector. This afternoon on The Pulse, we speak to the acting chief executive officer of the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, Nanakwesi Boate. He has outlined bold plans to revive the struggling firm and transform it into a leading publisher in the sub-region, with major restructuring already underway, including a new organogram and a complete overhaul of systems and infrastructure. He joins me in the studio to discuss the challenges facing GPCL and the way forward. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. I would like to start with, so far, how has it been? What was the state of the company you received just a few months ago?
Well, it's been challenging. We met a company that you could call one on its needs. On Thursday when I arrived, I said that, well, what we have here is a sleeping giant. So you have a giant, but it was lying down and asleep, and we needed to wake it up. So there was a complete overhaul required. First, there was the need to structure the company well.
It lacked structures?
It lacked quite a number of structures. For instance, you wouldn't have an effective production company that does not have a quality control department. So we didn't have a quality control department. We had to create one from scratch. You won't have an ultramodern publishing company that does not have an effective marketing and sales department. It didn't have, we had to create from scratch. And so there was need, we in fact had to create a corporate affairs department from scratch. So there was need for a complete, structural reform. We created a legal department. You publish all the laws of Ghana. You publish the Gazette of Ghana. I'm lucky to be a lawyer, but I can't be the company's lawyer. There was need, to get a legal department. I mean, the company's premises, if you go to Tudu and you're looking for Ghana Publishing Company, you have to, at the time, you have to have at the back of your mind that you're looking for Assembly Press. Otherwise, people didn't know where you were going, because on that building inscribed boldly was Assembly Press, a name the company inherited from many years ago, and which was no longer the case for a company, the corporate brand that we're building. So there was quite a lot we had to do, but God being good, we're getting there. We, for instance, had to immediately, 3 weeks into my commencement into office, we had to start a 24-hour shift, because we realized that we were quite overstaffed, and work delayed. If you apply for a gazette, it was going to take you 3 months, sometimes longer. So I said, well, I met the union, management went over, and I said, President already said we should start 24-hour economy. Why can't we start a night shift?
And let's talk about the Gazette, because you're the only company legally allowed to provide that service. Mm-hmm. But then we have a lot of Goro boys infiltrating the system, making it quite difficult to get legitimate documentation. How are you dealing with that?
Yes, fake Gazette, very big problem. So when we took over, and I realized that people could literally produce the Gazette on their own, without having to come to Ghana Publishing. And falsification of any of those official documentations, I think people felt was okay, but these brought huge problems. There are people who are abroad and they will write to us asking for whether or not a name change has been gazetted, and people would go to jail for identity theft and all of that because they genuinely wanted to change their name, but some Goro boy sitting by the roadside took their money and gave them a fake one.
How big is the problem really nationwide?
It is quite big. In the last 3 weeks, we have arrested 6 people. That is, and we are not reaching everybody. But you also know
6 people in Accra alone?
In Accra. The last one was in Tamale. that happened, I think, this morning in Tamale. But the thing is that the people you catch with the fake gazette don't know. Mostly they have gone to somebody, a commissioner of oath, asking for a gazette, not knowing that they have to come to Ghana Publishing for the gazette. And the commissioner of oath would take it, and it was easy to duplicate what we had, so they did. So when we took over, we decided to change the form and introduce some security features. So you will see, this is originally how the gazette looked like, black and white like this. Now, we changed it to this gold color. Now, the coat of arms that is gold is not just ornamental. We have security features in there. They respond to light and all of that. And we created a watermark, which also, in every page has it and has security features all over in there. So,
but as a consumer and an end user, how am I supposed to know all these new changes? And because really, it's as easy as walking to any market. That's how easy it is to get a gazette. And there are concerns that even chiefs are already in on it.
Yeah, so this is, see, a chief is obligated to be gazetted. So as long as you go through the process at National House of Chiefs and they give you the certificate, you're supposed to bring it to us. If you decide to take it to some guru boy, this is where you get the problem. Now, you ask me how easy is it for people to find. It's like the Ghana money. So the Ghana cedi has a lot of features. Trust me, we don't know it all. If you take it to a bank, the bank can tell you this is fake, this is counterfeit. You and I cannot always tell. So the place to find out whether or not your gazette is authentic or is fake is the Ghana Publishing Company. How do you know you're getting a fake gazette? You're not getting it from Ghana Publishing Company. Then you're getting a fake. It's as simple as that. So the point is that if you need a gazette for anything, it must be in your mind that it is only the Ghana Publishing Company that publishes the Ghana Gazette by law.
Let's check your regional representation. Are you equally represented in all the regions to ensure that people far and wide can get access to your services?
We are not, so this is what we've done. We have a partnership with Ghana Post, which is represented almost everywhere. And so in the regions where we are not represented, and in most regions we're not, unfortunately.
How many regions?
Now we have only Ashanti region and Greater Accra.
So the other 14 regions, you don't have branches?
We don't have branches. But if you go to a post office and you say you want to procure a gazette, they will fill all the forms for you, you pay the statutory fee, and they will bring it to us to publish.
But isn't that also creating a loophole for this so-called middlemen to infiltrate the system?
Well, it might create a little loophole, but there is an alternative. So, if you can go to a Ghana Post and get the gazette done, then you have no excuse saying that you will go to a guru boy. The point is that you are certain to be committing a crime if you go to a guru boy. Let's not get that mixed up. Once you falsify this document I'm holding, once you falsify it and you give it to someone, you have committed a huge crime. So there is no point doing it. And you have no excuse, even if Ghana Publishing was only in Tudu. That is where you can get a gazette, period. But we've made it a little easier, and look, it's also a financial issue. Over time, when we're able to, we will open branches. We would want to be in the districts. We want to be in the cities. We want to be everywhere.
Let's look at your books. How financially active are you? Are you raking in revenue as we speak, or are you running into losses?
No, we are doing a lot better than I met the company.
Okay.
We're doing a lot better. I mean, you can say that, our financial position now is probably 1,000, 2,000% better.
Okay.
In 6 months, that's how, before things were pretty bad.
How bad?
Well, I mean, you had a company that, from time to time needed to take, for instance, an overdraft to pay salaries. So it was pretty bad. We are no longer like that. I mean, we are a lot better.
You needed overdrafts?
Well, I mean, to pay salaries sometimes if you don't make enough money, because government doesn't pay the workers at Ghana Publishing Company from the consolidated fund. The company pays itself. So in the month when you don't make enough money, you will need an overdraft. If you don't plan and make savings and run the company in a manner that would, give you shocks for that, then you can run into those situations. And yes, when I came, the company was paying, salaries with ODs. We no longer do that.
And that's quite shocking. Were you in debt as at when you took over?
Well, for a company running the way Ghana Publishing runs, when you buy paper and you print and you sell and you do work for government and recover money, you will owe some debts. Questioning whether or not you're financially healthy is whether or not you have more debt than you have to recover, and you have whether or not you have some savings, some investments. How is the company's financial health? When we came, if you look at the debt stock, how long we owed some suppliers, some 6 months, some we weren't as financially healthy as the company was supposed to be. That situation has changed drastically now.
Let's talk about financing still, because I'm wondering, how are you turning the fortunes around? We have GS and other state institutions getting private individuals to handle printing of key documents. And that is something that you have the capacity to deliver on.
Exactly so. It is the reason why I'm sitting here. It's the reason why I've knocked at everybody's door. I've met the education minister, and we've consistently told them that we are the state printer. They have to give us the jobs. I mean...
But do you have the capacity, though?
Well, it's a chicken and egg situation, isn't it? If you give me more jobs, I can procure more equipment. If you don't give me jobs, how will I procure equipment? So we have some capacity, significant capacity. And like it or leave it, we are the state publisher. So if we don't have the capacity, then government of Ghana must give us the capacity. But I am saying, give me the jobs. If I use the contract to even secure a loan to buy equipment, I'm happy like that. But without giving the contracts, you cannot, say we don't have the capacity. I mean, if Ghana doesn't have the capacity to have a publisher that can compete with everybody, then who does? Right?
And let's talk about your pricing regime. How competitive are you as compared to these private companies?
Well, I can bet that giving all the necessary support and a fair playing ground, we must be more competitive than most of the private companies. But you want the truth? Truth is, some private companies charge 4% VAT. We charge 21% VAT. We're a government institution, and there is no, moving around any of these things. So yes, there are statutory obligations that can, make us somehow less competitive sometimes. But generally, we are a state institution, and as much as possible, we are mandated to provide these services. For me, if not because we had to pay salaries and pay overheads for free, even if we could. I mean, if people who work in and change their name without paying any money, why not? But the company has to run, and government doesn't pay those salaries. So we charge the barest minimum we can. In terms of publishing and printing, much as we try, there are times when we have genuine challenges because you have significant, statutory overhands, which some private company, if you go to Newtown, you can have people print, your brochures for you without having to charge you VAT. Not very good, but they have that. Or smaller companies build with charging smaller VAT. When we don't have that luxury. So I can charge you half what they are charging you, and I will still be more expensive because after that, I have to put 20%, 25% withholding tax and VAT over it. And 25, 27%.
But have you been talking to GRA to try and, break this down for you?
No,
to enable you to compete?
There seems to be, we've engaged GRA significantly. I mean, because also we came to meet some legacy tax debts, which we had to negotiate with them. And so we've engaged them. But I know that GRA cannot give us exemption, for instance, from collecting VAT for the government. The government organizations have to do that. So we work within the remit. We are as competitive as can be, save some of these. And that is why, for me, government institutions, for instance, institutions like Joy FM, for instance, that understand that tax is the fulcrum of the country's own economic development, must understand when we give them a bill, which is, by the way, lower than what you get outside, except maybe for VAT and other statutory, contributions which you have to make to the state. They have to understand. But having said all of that, I still think that we're one of the most competitive, even in terms of billing in the sector.
Can we trust the quality of work you put out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll put my own head in the gallows if I have to, that the staff at Ghana Publishing are very committed to the job they do, and they do a great job. But more importantly, and you have seen that newsletter you're holding, it is a newsletter we recently just produced because we've acquired, since I've been there, some new equipment. This year's budget was produced by us, and you should see the quality, beautiful. The media budget review was produced by us, you should see. There is commitment, and when it comes to quality, it is one thing I can guarantee you. Again, because we're the state. And so we don't compromise. And now, even with the introduction of our quality control department, we're even better. Quality absolutely assured.
Apart from the finance ministry, which other ministry are you actively talking to negotiate taking more jobs?
Oh, recently we've engaged, for instance, the local government ministry. We are engaging Controller and Accountant General because they print all the receipts, lots of documents. We are engaging Ghana Police because you can imagine if we got all the complaint forms that you have to fill at the police station, printed from Ghana Publishing, it would be great. So Electoral Commission we've already been working with, and consistently, we're asking them to give us more work when they can do work. We've engaged Ministry of Trade and Industry, any organization. In fact, we realized when I came that under Professor Mills, late Professor Mills, there was a fiat that made it mandatory for all government institutions to give at least 20% of their jobs, publishing jobs, to Ghana Publishing to do. This was not implemented effectively. We're still minded to engage the current chief of staff and get some of these back underway. So there are a lot of engagements going on in those directions. It's a tall list. TRAJ, Ghana Shippers Authority, it's quite a tall, endless list. And we're getting some jobs, to be honest.
You want to make this company quite competitive, but the key concern over the period is that state institutions don't seem to be making profits. They are always recording losses. So how do you plan to turn the fortunes around of the company?
Well, I can assure you we've done, in the past 6 months, we've done quite well, and it gives me promise. You see, it is prudence. A lot of the times, what you require is prudence. We're doing a lot of that. So, you have to be sure that the expenditure is worth it. But also, I think what, was lacking is efficiency. So if you have a company that is overstaffed, clearly you're paying people who are not getting significant jobs to do. And so you realize when we started the 24-hour shift that almost half of the people who were in the regular shift now moved to night, and they're working even at night. So delivery time is better. People don't mind paying a little more if they're getting their jobs on good time. So all of that is happening, and we have restructured even the main operations. Everybody closes at 4:30. The main form stored, our main operations closes at 7:30. So there are people who start work at 10 and close at 7:30. So even if you close from work at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock and you decide to come and do a gazette, when you pass by, we're still there. So we have restructured the company to be operationally more effective and efficient, and we are doing a lot of financial prudence, and this is how we intend to make it happen.
How much will it cost me to gazette my name?
So now there are 3 gazetting formulas we have. Okay. If you come for the regular gazette, and I don't remember the figures on the top of my head, okay, but it takes you now 3 weeks. Hitherto, it took 3 months. Sometimes, the earliest you got that was 8 weeks. Now it will take you 3 weeks. I think you pay something below 700 cedis. And then we have the premium. That also takes you 3 days. Hitherto, it took you a week. That premium will cost you something under 1,200. I don't remember these figures off the top of my head. There's a lot going on.
Okay.
And then there is a 24-hour service, which you come today like
How
right now.
How effective has that service been, offering 24-hour services?
It's been fantastic. It's been fantastic. It's one of our most patronized, streams of the Gazette. A lot of people come needing the Gazette because sometimes he has gone to passport office, he needs a Gazette. He didn't know he needs a Gazette, so they say bring one. Before, passport office would accept a receipt even from us. But now you come, you can get it tomorrow. So people come really needing it, like I want the thing tomorrow. And yes, if you come at 7, if you come at 5 p.m., the next day, 10 a.m. morning, you can come and pick your Gazette up. So it's working.
And there are concerns that staff members, if not checked, could also aid some of these guru boys. How are you ensuring that internally there are no leakages?
Well, we have made very strong regulations and we are enforcing them very strictly, that no staff member get involved in the procurement of Gazette whatsoever. If your relative, and there was initial discussion, even if your own relative wants a Gazette, please, by all means, bring them and show them the forms and say, this is how you go through the process. But don't take anybody's money and say, I will procure a Gazette for you. If I catch you, just like I catch anybody, the police gets involved. It wouldn't matter that you're a staff. And it's not happening, trust me. It's not happening. And
so far, if you look at the number of individuals you have arrested, how many have been prosecuted since you assumed office?
Well, the prosecution, the arrest itself, this declaration of war on fake Gazette, it started just about 3 weeks ago. And so I'm talking about the arrests that have been made in the past 3 weeks. Okay. We intend to have all of them prosecuted. The processes take some time. Investigation, arraignment takes some time. But we intend to follow every one of them to the final point where not only prosecution, but where conviction is secured, sentencing happens.
And finally, as we wrap up the conversation, your plan is to make the publishing company quite competitive. In fact, the most competitive in the sub-region. How do you plan to achieve that?
We want to make the Ghana Publishing Company an ultra-modern company that will rival every other publishing company in the sub-region. To do that, we need to improve the finances. We need to acquire the equipment. And so, we have discussed this dream. There is need for financial injection. I and my board are working together to secure the necessary funds, to retool the company.
How much do you need?
$15 million for start. Will you give us some? The assessments say we need about $15 million. Of course, we'll have all of it. But year-on-year basis, we intend to invest significant amount. This year, for instance, we have already invested in almost two brand new digital equipment, and we've opened up a whole digital center. We intend to continue with the retooling agenda, acquire the equipment that we need. We want to get to a point where we do security printing, where the passports of Ghana will be printed by the Ghana Publishing Company, where even the Ghana currency, if need be, will be printed by. That is what is befitting of the publishing company of the nation. It doesn't have to be the case where a private person is the one that prints the passport of Ghana. It doesn't have to be the case where even the budget, when it's supposed to be read, has to go to a private person first. We want to position the company well to do the jobs that it deserves to do for the Republic of Ghana.
Quite ambitious goal. How do you plan to find the money?
Well, it's a business that makes profit for start, and we intend to, as and when to source it beyond our scope, do that. But for now, we're working within, our financial ambits, and we're doing quite well. We intend that with consistent austerity and, prudence, we'll be able to make the company even more profitable so that we can fund the things. The banks will give you money to go on these kinds of important investments if they can trust in your books. We're keeping the books clean. We're doing everything we can. We are very certain that, with the kind of trajectory we're on, give it a maximum 1 year. Ghana Publishing Company should be one of the most attractive government companies in Ghana, and everybody will be willing to give us money.
Thank you so much for your time here.
Thank you.
On The Pulse, we've just been discussing some of the key updates about the Ghana Publishing Company, and I've been discussing that with the MD of the company. Well, away from that, a disturbing accountability gap has been exposed in the implementation of the Right to Information Act 2019, Act 989. As a Corruption Watch investigation has revealed public institutions are systematically failing to comply and crucially as well, are using taxpayers' funds to settle fines imposed by the RTI Commission. The 6-month investigation conducted between February and July 2025 showed how public officials individually responsible for willfully denying citizens access to information from any personal or professional consequence were shielded. It also highlighted how several key governance institutions, which are mandated to champion transparency, are either outright refusing or delaying the release of requested public information. What's even more worrying, really, is how penalties to be paid by these institutions are eventually absorbed by the state budgets. Here are excerpts of the expose.
Under the RTI law, a person may request information from a state or a qualifying private institution by writing a letter addressed to the information officer of the institution. The information officer is to provide the information within 14 days if the information is not exempt. If the information officer does not provide the information within 14 days, then the requester can appeal to the head of the institution, which gives the head of the institution 15 days to provide the information. If the head of the institution does not provide the information, then the requester can file a complaint to the RTI Commission or the High Court. The RTI Commission may impose a penalty on the institution depending on the circumstances of the case.
The Commission decides to impose administrative penalty on an institution. There are certain factors that we consider in doing so. Some of them we consider the responsiveness of the institution involved. Some of them come in cooperating with the Commission. When that happens, then we enter into some kind of negotiation with such institutions. We also look at the ability of the institution to be able to finance the imposition of penalty on them. Some of them, we consider the entire circumstances of the case. And so we do not just resort to imposing penalties on institutions, but then again, we consider the totality of the circumstance of the case before we end up imposing such penalties on institutions. We also look at the seriousness of the breach.
Now, Corruption Watch investigations have uncovered that some key governance institutions which should be promoting access are refusing or failing to comply with the law by denying access to information requested by citizens. This refusal or failure to provide the requested information has led to the imposition of fines by the RTIC. The records show that as of the 16th of July 2025, the RTIC had imposed penalties of approximately 5.6 million Ghana cedis in 76 determinations involving 64 separate institutions. The executive secretary of the RTIC stresses that the fines imposed do not serve as a substitute for the information that is imposed to be released to an applicant.
A fine is never a substitute for information being. Once you are compelled to pay the administrative penalty, it does not automatically erase the fact that you have to provide the information. Providing the information becomes mandatory, it becomes a directive of the Commission, which needs to be complied with. For the imposition of the penalty is as a result of your default instead.
Meanwhile, the list of violators of the law is long and includes oversight bodies such as the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, which is yet to pay a fine of 30,000 cedis. The Judicial Service of Ghana, also yet to pay a fine of 100,000 cedis. The Attorney General's Department, also yet to pay a fine of 50,000 cedis. The Public Procurement Authority, PPA, also yet to pay a fine of 100,000 cedis. The Ghana Police Service, which has paid 450,357 cedis. The Ghana Audit Service, which has paid 60,000 cedis, and the Parliamentary Service, which has paid 53,785 cedis. 5 institutions have paid the heaviest fines. They are the Agricultural Development Bank, a total of 1,365,000 Ghana cedis. Ghana Police Service, 450,000 357 cedis. The Ministry of Education, 260,000 cedis. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, 200,000 cedis. And the Lands Commission, 150,000 cedis.
Meanwhile, Musa Tanko, a lecturer and lawyer at the University of Ghana Media Arts and Communication, UNIMAC, has been advocating for such public officials to be surcharged. Listen.
And embarrassing, actually. It is embarrassing because when you look at these institutions and the role they play in our, if you like, criminal justice or in our constitutional architecture, they play huge roles. So they should be leading the way. And frankly, what we are talking about, it's really something that is a low-hanging fruit. You know, I don't see the basis for getting themselves caught up in that. Because what is it? It's about accessing information. That information is in your custody. You have been placed or given that information because of the role you play. But technically, when you look at the information that you have, if you can have access to that information, what makes you think that no other citizen also have the right to access that information? Are you more Ghanaian? Are you more Ghanaian than anybody else? No. It's just because you have been entrusted with that information because of the role you play. So every citizen has a stake in the information you have. It's a national resource. There are instances where they are just nonchalant. They don't care. They don't even respond to you. You write to them and they don't even respond because they don't really, because you see, it's coming from so many years of holding information in that secrecy. So moving away from that, you know, that situation, it's not easy. That's why a lot of resources was invested into building people's capacity. And that has been done. I mean, from the previous government, even up to now. So some people don't care at all. They won't respond. But some, they look at the information you are asking for. They are not too sure what you want to use that information for. Mind you, the right to information law says you don't have to give reasons why you are asking for that information. So long as it's not an exempt information, I don't need to tell you what I need that information for. I say I want that information. Give it to me.
The penalties, what about the funds? Especially because it's definitely taxpayers' money that will be used to pay for these penalties anyway. How does it come to you?
Well, I have said that is a no-brainer because somebody is sitting somewhere, he knows he's supposed to provide you with information. He or she fails or refuses to provide you with that information. Then you find the person. When you find the person, the money is not coming to come from his or her pocket. It's coming to come from the institution. So why is the deterrent there? That's why I'm saying that, well, if we can establish that the information that was requested is not information that is exempt, and there was nothing that stopped that person from releasing that information, but the person willfully refused to release that information, certainly the state shouldn't pay that money. That individual who recklessly failed to provide that information, he or she should be surcharged. And how do we do that? Let's attach their earnings. Interestingly, we're talking about public institutions where the income or the earnings of the person is regulated. We know where the earning is coming from. Attach their earning. I have said that don't bankrupt them. Attach the earning, let them spread it. I think if we do that 1, 2, 3 times, I think that we'll be able to be making some headway.
Well, away from that, the latest tracking poll by Global Info Analytics puts Haruna Idrisu ahead of other contenders as favorite candidate to lead the ruling NDC into the 2028 elections. We'll get into that after this, but thankfully, join me now is Vitus Azim as we look at some of the key findings from the RTI expose put out by Corruption Watch. We appreciate your time here on the post. I just want to get your initial reaction, really. We've been hearing from lawyer Tanko prescribe that moving forward, some of the leaders of the state institutions ought to be surcharged. Your thoughts?
As he said, it's really embarrassing for the institutions involved because these are the leads that you don't expect them to refuse to give out information. Now, people will hide behind the institutional laws and say, oh, we are not allowed to give out this information. So sometimes it's difficult to separate the individual from the institution. But if you can say to a particular person that who was irresponsible or who refuses to release information, that person should be charged for the amount of money that they pay, not to use state resources to pay for a crime that they really committed.
Quite interesting. And we're just looking at some of the big offenders, really. The scale of the concern being raised by the Corruption Watch expose. We're seeing key state institutions like the Attorney General's Department. They've been fined 50,000 Ghana cedis. Judicial Service, Shraj, Procurement Authority, key state institutions, including the Ghana Police Service and the Ministry of Education, refusing to provide information to individuals. Now, doesn't this cast doubt as to the weight of this RTI law that we have indeed passed?
Even Parliament, I think Parliament was named. Some of these institutions, like the police, it will not be surprising. But for the rest of some of the other institutions, it's really surprising and shocking. Commission on Human Rights, Military Justice, Attorney General, there's no Auditor General, there's no reason why to put you that information. And then turn around to pay. Who authorized the payment of the money? By which individual?
And it's shocking that even the payment of the fine does not negate the fact that they still have to provide the information. And
Yes,
reluctance to provide the information will still mean more fines, which will end up coming out of our pockets as Ghanaians.
So it's just a waste of public money. That shouldn't have happened. And that's what I'm saying, that we need to trace the people that were behind the refusal to give the information, and then who actually authorized the payment of the money and hold them responsible individually.
Thank you so much, Vitis Azim, anti-corruption campaigner, joining us here on The Pulse, just agreeing with lawyer Tanko that indeed the individuals at the helm of affairs of some of these institutions ought to be surcharged. But I was just telling you before we move to that conversation about the latest global info analytics polls, and that puts Haruna Idrisu ahead of other contenders and as favorite candidate to the NDC. And according to this poll, the NDC feel that he's the right man for the job. Meanwhile, Dr. Bawumia continues to be the clear favorite of the NPP in the race, and that's according to the new polls. Now, let's just get some key reactions to this, and we'll just look at some of the key findings of the poll before we even get reactions to this, and that is coming out on your screen shortly as we just look at some of the key findings of the polls and why exactly this is topical. Also, we know that joining us shortly will be a key member, a spokesperson of Kennedy Ejapong's team. He will be joining the conversation as well as Yao Menzel Poku, spokesperson for Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. They will be joining the conversation shortly. And the full global info analytics survey is on myjoyonline.com. You can take a look at it. But let me just get a quick reaction of Yao Osei Educhum's campaign team. Thank you so much for your time, Yao Pokumenta. I just want to start with your initial reaction. I'm sure you've seen this report, right?
Yes. Good evening to yourself and to our lovely viewers, those who are all listening. And a greetings from Dr. Osei Educhum. To our lovely listeners and viewers as well. Yeah, we've seen the poll. It's something that we do welcome. It's something that we definitely anticipate to be part of the scheme within the political, especially when we are very prime. We do welcome it, third party from anybody who in that do what in
Yao Pokumenta, you have to position yourself rightly. I can't seem to hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear now.
Okay, that's good. So as I was indicating, we do welcome all third-party engagement with regards to how our campaigning and primaries will be. But the most interesting aspect has got to do with what we are doing on the ground and what our internal polls are telling us and what the dynamics are. If you follow the activities of Dr. Osei Educhum, last week we were in the Ashanti region as part of starting our campaign, which we dub as the Hope Campaign Tour, which the first leg sought to engage former constituency executives as well as MMDC within our party.
Okay.
So if you monitor the activity, you could see the enthusiasm when Doctor appeared in the Ashanti region and began to engage them, telling them what he had for the party.
So you're doing the groundwork, basically, just to turn your fortunes around.
I just want our viewers and listeners to have that positive edge, that feeling of the vibe in the Ashanti region when Dr. Yaosebikin stepped foot in his home region.
Okay.
And therefore, if any poll will have to happen, then we have to look at how candidates, immediately they start their campaign, how the momentum is gathered, how people are welcoming him into the fold. And that is basically...
Okay, yeah, let me bring in Kwesi Kwarteng at this point in time, just get his brief reaction. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. I'm sure you've seen this new survey. Let me get your quick reaction to this. How do you respond?
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. I must be quick to add that I've not had the opportunity or time to fully review it.
Okay.
But of course, I mean, in terms of its face value, I've seen what it presents and the general outlook. And our reaction, I mean, will obviously be predictable. We've seen polls on many occasions from different pollsters. My understanding of polls is a prediction by the pollster on what he expects the outcome to be based on the methodology and approach that he used in analyzing his work or undertaking his research. And so our approach to polls has always been very predictable, that obviously we will then take it as a good feedback to improve the work that we are doing. Because, see, there are polls that favor us, there are polls that may not necessarily favor us. Recently, if you read the polls of Sanity Africa, it really put Ken in the lead. And so we have also even been sponsoring some private polls at our own level. So we have an idea of what we are doing, and I can confidently tell you that we are doing so well. So yes, Mr. Danko has done his work. We don't fault it. We respect it. We take it as a good feedback just to improve the work that we are doing.
Thank you so much, spokesperson for Kennedy Japan, Kwesi Kwarteng, to join us here on The Pulse. At this point in time, we have to go. Thank you so much, Yaopoku, for joining us earlier. My name is Faustina Safa. That's how we wrap up The Pulse. We'll be here same time, same station tomorrow. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs. Good afternoon.